No specifics are coming from me. Okay, there we go. So welcome. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to quick pop over our agenda and then we'll go into our sites. We'll kind of recap a little bit what we've done. I apologize for the repetition for some of you guys. We are recording this, so if you've watched it, it's not very exciting, but it's on there. So if you want to go back and play back any pieces or anything like that, I will show you. I will show you where that is. I am going to show you some additions that I made to our shared summer drive. And I emailed Min and said, we need Safe too. And he put it in. So we can now have access at school to the videos that we were looking at that we couldn't look at before, if that makes sense. So thanks. Shout out to Min. Today we're going to be talking about both Google Classroom and Seesaw. And we might even kind of split up if we want to and have like a little Seesaw people and little Google Classroom people depending. From what I've seen, it looks like the district is really favoring Seesaw for K1, TK1, and there's good reasons for that. It's just freaking easier to use, especially for those little guys, and there's a lot of fun things. I love it also for the big kids, so I kind of do both. So we'll go into both. Questions before we start? Okay, so I'm going to click over to our sites. I believe I have shared. Jeff, I didn't put you in here yet. Let's see. Okay, now everybody's there, and you can go ahead and click into it just so you can see what's going on. Actually, before we do that, because I'll get distracted, I want to go in, I'm going to just show you our shared drive, and you can go into it if you choose. So this was our, under shared drives, I created a Google summer session, and whenever, there's so many different things on Facebook right now, different groups that I'm following. Whenever I see something that looks like something everybody might appreciate, especially the little guys. Big guys, I'm like, oh, I'll share that later. Sorry.
Michelle,
But
I'm not finding that in the shared drive. Are you guys finding it? Yeah.
maybe I didn't put you in it.
Maybe you didn't.
Okay. Let me.
You had it last week. Not under shared.
Maybe that's why you couldn't access it right.
Sorry.
No, that we need to know that.
No, the longer, I can get, my computer still time, yeah.
Okay, so refresh, and it should be pop up. So in here we were looking at different. The whole Bitmoji craze is crazy, and there's tons of people already creating things. Hello, but when we were clicking on the links, they didn't. They weren't working because most people are linking their links to Safe2 instead of YouTube, because that way the kids can't pop around and do all kinds of other things. So we opened up, we had Safe2 open, and now you can come into those cute little things. This particular person created picture book slides for different authors. So there's the Kevin Hanks, I don't know. Cute ones, Pete the Cat. I always think of Lori, Jambra, and then the kids would just touch the book and then go right here. And then it takes you to a video reading, read aloud of that book, and it's only in that site. They don't bounce to YouTube like they do when we link YouTube videos. So heads up, that's in there. There's some neat little math things that people are starting to create, especially for the littles, where they've got these different slides, and you can adjust them, but you can put different equations in here, and then they've got the manipulative options to make their 10 frames, and so just whenever I see something that looks kind of interesting, I throw it in there. And you guys can do the same thing. I started to make some folders. Here, this one has got examples of like an all about me virtual that you could have the kids do. It's in Google Slides. There is, what else did I have? Morning meetings. Somebody created a morning meeting slide. Parent handbook examples. So these are just examples that I thought maybe you guys could, it might, I don't know, hopefully help alleviate some of the stress that we're feeling. Video chat expectations, that's in there too. So just wanted to point that out to you. If you want to use it and change it, make a copy of it, and then try to put it in your drive, and that way you can do anything you want to it. If you do that straight from here, you'll change everything. And I can put it back if I know, but it's best if you just try to make a copy. So if you don't remember how to do that, we can. No, I don't think that's in a video yet.
And Michelle, this is being created by people within the district, like
No, these are things I'm finding on Facebook.
well, you're gathering these things created by other teachers.
Yes, this drive, this shared drive is just us. So any of us can put stuff in here. And is everybody? Are you in it? Did I remember?
My computer's restarting, so
So
I'm
you
not
don't know.
I'm not able to log on for some
Can you see their names
In what?
in the class?
It's literally the same one.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, I see that it's shared with them, but I don't see that they're back into it.
Okay.
I still am trying to look.
Oh, there you are. I think you guys are already in it, but we'll see. All right, so just a quick overview over that shared drive, things that I'm putting in there that you guys are welcome to put in there too.
Michelle, how did you get to Bitmoji? Sorry, girls, have to be over Bitmoji.
It's under,
It's
one of these folders.
Oh, thank you, I was looking at the pictures.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. All right, so now I'm gonna go into, already welcomed, we're good there. Oh, just to, agenda slides if you need to see that, which you really don't. This is a schedule for all of the Wednesdays. So if there's something that you missed and you're like, oh, that was on that day, then you can go back in and see what you missed if you choose. There's Tracy's kitty. The purpose of this is to go over the different tools that we have access to for free in Google. So I just kind of put some of them in there. We're not going over all of them, but just to give you a small picture. Number one was our first session, and in that, if you click on it, this is the original presentation that I gave that had some information in it. This is a presentation on just organizing your Google Drive. And I'm thinking, and I did a new one, Stephanie, for moving a Word document into Google Drive. It's not super advanced. It's very basic. You can always get more information in YouTube, which is kind of scary. But if all you want to do is have it in your drive so you can print from it, that's what that will do. If you need to make changes and that kind of stuff, that takes a whole nother hour or such. But I put that in there for you guys. And then our second time we did, that's just a play video, but this was a video of our actual session. So if you were curious about that, that's where that video is. And this is the slide presentation that we used. All right, so we're going into today's. And Gina, you have you have your other laptop from here. So let's get started. All right. Like I said, today our focus is Google Classroom and Seesaw. And again, I'm going to say that, I keep saying this, I'm not an expert. There's going to be there are tons of great videos that people have already done to help you through things. To be more specific with you when you have specific questions, just go to YouTube and Google or search your specific question. And they're gonna have a video for you, which is nice. So So today we have two different needs. We have Google Classroom needs and Seesaw needs. So hopefully we will get to both pieces. In Google Classroom, it's going to be more like an organizational kind of thing to do. In Seesaw, we're going to go in and see what the heck it is. What can you do in it? And the best part about Seesaw is there are a ton of things that people have already created for you that you can use, especially for the littles. Google Classroom, you got to put all your own stuff in there. But Seesaw, they have tons of things for you to use, which is so awesome. All right, so why? I've been a Google Classroom little fanatic something for a while. Why do I like it? And I tried to find a good slide and good reasons for it, and I didn't like their reasons. I like mine better. So one of the best things for especially upper grade kids is you can keep all their work in one spot. You can, there's a folder, all the kids are there, and you can see everybody in one spot. It will put their work in your drive, but then you have to go to different places in your drive, and it's just a little bit more complicated. I can give students real-time feedback. I can go into their work while they're working on it in Google Drive, and I can start messaging them going, I think you are off target on this prompt. I don't think you quite understand what's going on here. So we can have conversations either in real time or not real time in Google Classroom. You're using the Drive in Google Docs, but it just gives you more information. There's actual spots in Google Classroom for them to ask you questions, for you to give them feedback, back and forth conversations. You can group parts of the project or assignments in one place. If you have a unit and you want it all in one place, you can put them all in one place, and I'll show you what that looks like. I can have group work or independent work. You can decide who is working on the assignments and who isn't. And so many things have this little button that says use with Google Classroom, which is awesome. So you can connect so many other sites that you might want to use to integrate right directly to Google Classroom. You just push a little button, and all the little people who are in your Google Classroom are suddenly on that site too. It works together. For me, I find grading a little easier because they're all in the same spot. Let's see, I can keep track of my assignments, and the students have access to the work they missed. So if I keep all those things in there and somebody was gone for a week, okay, you're in week May 12th. Go to that week, and there's all the work that you missed. I'm done. My directions are there. Everything's there. It's, well, not for the little guys, but those are some of the reasons why I like Google Classroom. There's a bunch more things. So right now is probably a good time. We're going to quick walk through it. I want to make sure that we have at least half of our time to do Seesaw. But let's just do a quick walkthrough of Google Classroom and just make sure we understand how to use it. So to get there, you just open a new tab, and if you aren't already in there, you would just Google Classroom, and it's always the first search thing that comes up, and that's what I tell my students as well when we are first find. It's always the first one, and then obviously mine's going to look different than yours. This is like the main deck. That has a name. I forgot what it was. Over here, these guys are your main menu for you to pull. You guys can see that. These are always the app dots that we talked about at the very beginning that pull up different Google products. We don't need to really go there right now. This is the plus sign where you will be adding your classes. So I put some, when you're done, you can archive your classes. And so I pulled up some of my older classes. But when you go to the main menu, this house is when you have all of your classes. Or you can go to whatever specific class you want to go to. And this is where organizing things it's going to be your style. For me, I find it much easier to have a class for each subject, and that way I can go into reading. I know I assigned something in there. I can go in and I can check their work. Most people will have just one class, and you can organize it by topics. For me, that puts too much information in my assignments and in my stream, and I get confused. So I choose to have a different page for a different class for each subject, but that means I have to go there too. So it's a preference kind of thing as to what works best for you guys. So to create a class, you would just click on the plus sign, and the kids would be joining a class. They don't have this create a class option, I don't think. And sometimes we want to have like maybe a 5th grade class. So we might be joining a class someone else created. Or like when Kathy had the PE class, we joined her class. But if we want to create a class, we just click on that. And then you give it your name. And then this section stuff I haven't played around with a lot. I'm sure that I don't play with the rest of it. I just stick with the name. You can always play or find out more about that. But that was, I haven't needed that yet. Okay, so then they create it. Apparently we're slow this morning.
Just a quick question. If you were to create all the different subjects, that means there would be like 4 or 5 different join codes?
Yes, yeah. But you can invite the kids, and all they have to do is click on the invitation pops up somewhere. I don't know where, but the kids said all they have to do is click on that invitation and then they're in. So when the kids are in class, I just write the codes on up here that I want them to join. But over spring, like when Kathy invited them to her class, she just sent them invitations. Well, I don't know if she did that. Like RSP did that. And the kids can just click on that invitation and then they would go into the class. They didn't have to sweat that code. So I think that's an update that they made.
Okay.
Good question. So based on that, once you get your class, you can put whatever theme you want in there. If you're not hip on that, I mean, they have some different ones you can pop across. Let's see. My husband went golfing yesterday. I'll use that one. And he paid for it because he never golfs. So you can do whatever you want. You can also, if you're totally into it and you want a cute little thingy, you can upload a photo, and there's a bazillion videos on how to do that. Here's the name of your site. This is the class code that Brianna was talking about that you would give your students if you needed to use that, but I think we can invite them. We'll talk about that in a minute. This is where, when we're talking about Google Meet, this is where if you are using Google Classroom and you want to talk with a few kids or have little breakout sessions, I loved this option. I thought this sucker was the best thing ever because this link stays here and you just tell the kids, this is when I'm going to open it up. And then they just click on it when they need you. I'm stuck on number 2. This is awesome. So how do we get that? We set up our class. We've got our background. We have our class code. Over here, this little toggle wheel dealy bobber. If you click on that, that takes you to the settings. And again, this is where we could go crazy. I'm not going to. We could talk a lot about different options, and actually I couldn't because I don't know what half these things are. But in the general, this is kind of important because do you want your kids to post in your stream and comment in your stream? And when it's just us, I always turn that to completely off. Especially posting. I don't need them to post anything. So they can't, if you click on it, there gives you drop downs. Sometimes you can do only comment. With my multiple classes, my homepage, I let them comment. They can talk back and forth to each other. That was like their socialization. Every morning, I put in a new thing at 8 o'clock in the morning, and my phone was going boop, 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 alerts. The kids were just going back and forth. Hi, good morning, how are you? Because of distance learning, I left this open. But I usually turn off, I usually go to teachers only can post. Students can only comment. That's what I usually keep it at in distance learning circumstances. Or if I don't want them to be messing around on it, then I will put only teachers can post or comment. So that's something and when somebody posts something and you're like, oh crap, I forgot to fix that, you can fix that at any point. It doesn't matter, because oh crap a lot. So I'm going to let students only comment. Classwork on the stream, I really didn't play with that. I guess that's a personal preference, so I'm not going to even talk about that. Sorry. Show deleted items, guardian summaries. This isn't something that I just keep these two off. I mean, you can play around with them and see if they work for you, but I just kept those two off. This is the Meet link. If you want to have that option where your students could click on here, and they can't join and talk to each other if you're not there. They can only go on if you turn yours on. So the link is there forever, but it doesn't go on until you turn yours on. And then as soon as they pop on, you see them, just like in Zoom, except for the link's always there. So you can generate a Meet link, and then visible to students, or maybe you turn that off and on. Maybe you decide, you know what, I don't want that link on right now. And then you're like, okay, it's 2 o'clock. I said I'd have it open. Then you can turn it on. So that's an option. I just kept mine on. If you're into grading, you can play with grading in categories, which I actually thought was helpful. And then you just save your stuff. And then here's that link. So this is where it's permanent, well, until you take it off. It's consistent, and the kids can, like I said, they can just click on it when you want them to go in. So I thought that was really very helpful. So we've talked about the menu, our header, creating a Google Meet link if we choose, our theme, some settings. I want to pop across to each of these things just to give us an overview of what they are. Stream has everything in it. It's got your announcements, it's got your assignments, it's got everything. And sometimes that's the section that gets really bogged down because there is so much in there. They give you, they let you know, do you have work coming up pretty soon or not? Share something with your class. This sharing is, this isn't where you can give assignments to each student. So this is where you just want to put something that everybody's going to view only. This is like the viewing section. So you can just, I don't know, whatever. You want all your students to have it. And you can add anything that you've created. You can't really see that very well, sorry. In your Google Drive, you can add a link, a file, a YouTube video. You can add pretty much anything you want to in there. And then once you've got what you want in there, let's see. It'll show you what you have. And I really like that part because then it gives me a visual to see, oh, that's right, I did assign that. Here, when you're assigning things, you're basically posting them, but there's a drop down here, if you guys can see that. When you click on that, this is my favorite thing they started. You can schedule it, post it automatically. So if you post it, whoop, it goes right away. You can schedule it, which I did a ton because I was working on it the night before and I didn't want them to get it until the morning. So I would schedule it. So you just click on that little friend and you schedule it for whatever day you want it and then whatever time you want it. And then you would hit schedule. So that's when that announcement would pop up. And that was great because if you don't feel like working on something in the morning right before you promised everything, you can do it whenever the heck you want to. And then it also had that draft feature, which went away because I already posted it. So if you want to save it and not do anything with it later, you can look it back up. So that's the stream, which is kind of like the view only. This is where you're really going to put your work. This is where you can create an assignment. And I really, personally, just used this. I didn't use any of these other things. Every now and then I would do a question, which actually I really like doing with the kids. It was fun because then they all have their input there. This could be a very good tool for us to use these days. But I didn't use, I mean, you probably use any of it, I don't know. But this is where you're going to create your assignments. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about creating assignments, but if we want to have another conversation about that, we can. Because that's where you're going to have the option of giving everybody their own version so that they can do their own thing on it, or the kids could view only, or they can access, they can add to whatever you put on there, and everybody's adding on to the same thing. And there's there's good and bads for all those different things. There's a purpose or a use for all of them. So you come up with your assignment, and it's going to pop up there. You would title it whatever you wanted to title it. This is a great place to give, those instructions. What do you want them to do? You can add multiple pieces, and this is one of the tips I wanted to give, is that you don't have to have one piece per assignment. You can put in 4 or 5 different things into one assignment. And I recommend doing that. If they're all together, if you're doing a unit on poetry, and you have different steps you want them to take. Today, Monday I want you to do this. Tuesday I want you to do this. You could put those 4 or 5 steps all in that same assignment. And then it's easier to find, and it's easier for the kids to find also and grade. So it would give you have the option of grading things also, which I think some of us are going to use more this time than we did last time. You can put it whatever points you want. You can put a due date. So if you did do this and you put several different things on there, your grade is going to go for the one assignment as a whole. So things to consider as you're organizing your work. There's also a rubric option, which I have not played with, but I kind of want to. Any questions about that? Like I said, I'm not spending a ton of time on this, but we can go back to it. And then again, with your assigning, you can schedule it, save it, or decide, oh, forget it, this is stupid, I'm going to discard it. So we have that option of scheduling. Okay, so then there's this people. These 3 things your students also have access to. This is where you can click on invite and invite your students. Now, I kind of have a feeling my protocol, because I am going to have different classes, is I'm probably going to try to get the kids the class code to my home page first, so that I don't have to invite them to everything. And then once I do that, then I think I'm going to try to give them a class code to join via a stream or something like that. So somehow we get to meet up with our families ahead of time, maybe on an index card or on the welcome back letter or whatever. I'm going to say, okay, here's the class code I want you to use for Monday to get into the class. I've used the invite when I maybe have like 3 or 4, like somebody forgot to pop in or I couldn't find them. But you could definitely email your whole, invite your whole class. I have to step back though, because as long as they're already in a Google Classroom, they're going to see it in their Google Classroom. But if they don't have a Google Classroom, they don't have access to their email. So I really don't know, now that I think it out loud, I don't know where that first initial invite would go that they could access. So I think the first thing we're going to have to do is give them the code to that Google Classroom class that you want to. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I know I went backwards on that, I'm sorry. But that's where in people, that's where you can manage. You can add teachers. You add your extra people that you're working with in there. Cornell ends up in like, how many classes? Tons. And then this is the part the kids, their grade part looks different. Let me see. Let's see. So this was my reading class from last time. So this is my stream with a bunch of stuff on there. And then here's my classwork page where I grouped my projects by week. It was just easier for me to do that. And then if you put in grades, then that gives you kind of an overall feeling for how, you grade their work. And then it gives you a page. I don't know how there's a parent piece with that, and I don't know how that works. I do know that Illuminate has the ability to be linked to Google Classroom. So if we do grade in Google Classroom, there's that possibility, but our district has to decide that that's what we want, and it has to be opened up. I don't know if there's a fee involved. I don't know anything about that. I just know that that's an option that they're looking into. So, which would be great. Everything's right there. It would be nice if we just graded it once and poof, it went right where we needed to go. For those of us who have to really worry about those grades.
Michelin, for,
Yes.
Giving the code, can they only join with a Galt email?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You want to encourage your students to do everything with their Galt address, because then you can track what they're doing. If you go in to see someone, they're using a different address, they're not going to be in your class because your class has the Galt address. I believe that's how things go. If you're trying to spy on them through that little, I forgot what it's called.
Relay? I don't know.
Lightspeed. If you're trying to do that, they have to be working in Google, or you can't track them. They also have to be in Google Classroom too, but that's another story. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to just pop back into Classroom to make sure I think I hit them all. So these three dots in the corner, when you click on them, they're kind of explanatory. Archive is probably the one I really only use. So when I'm done with a year, I just click archive. They don't go away, which is good and bad, I guess. I don't know. They don't go away. You can archive them. And like these guys, I pulled back up from some other year. But that's how you can do that. So, all right, so I'm going to stop. I want to make sure I went over all the points I wanted to. So we created a class. We didn't do the Open Drive folder. Our first day we looked at in our drive, there was the purple Google Classroom folder that's attached. And again, it doesn't delete your information. You can delete it, but you can, it will hold on to all the students' information. I showed you grade book. We went and saw the class code, the meeting look. We went back to classes through the toggle up above. We looked at settings and we looked at stream classroom. Okay, I think we got them all. A few quick tips.
What does it say?
I know, remember to help each other.
Your thing is not.
It is, I know. So this is that organizational piece that I already mentioned, which again, it's a personal thing, but it's much easier if you can connect, put your assignments together under a topic than it is to have one, especially, now we're at the beginning of the year, and we're going to be using this for a whole trimester. That's going to be a lot of stuff. So, and then let's see. Here's where they compounded the information. Now, really, the reason why we use Drive or Google, what is that thing called? Slides, is because you can put all your information in one document. You can have all the videos, you can have all the assignments, you can have everything in one. So that's the most compound way to do that. So just throwing that option out at you, whatever the heck that means. I left this slide in here for anybody who needs it. Their tips. This is for students. If you wanted to use it, adapt it, whatever. I just found it in Google Images, so it's not a big deal. And then these are different skills that would help your students that you might want to think, oh, I want to do a lesson on this, I want to do a mini lesson, just to give you an overview on things that you probably want to show your students how to do. And then, all right, so now we're going to go into Seesaw. And I don't know, I know a little bit about Seesaw. Just like with everything else, I don't know everything. So, we're going to go into a new tab. And we have bigger experts in here than me. You can Google Seesaw. And one thing I do like about it, and I should say this too, in Google Classroom, Seesaw, there's an app on your phone for them. There's actually an app for everything. I've got Docs, I've got Sites, I've got Google Classroom, I have Flipgrid, I have Slides. So that way, if you are out and you have an appointment and you're like, I really didn't want to call in for this, you can still do your thing on your phone or your device, anything that has an app on it. So Seesaw has an app on it, and when I was out 2 springs ago, that saved me. My kids would message me and I could see, oh, I have a message, I could just click and open it up and see what was going on. So it brought me a lot of comfort. So I'm going to, so go ahead and you probably want to sign up for free if you haven't done so already. I'm going to go to my account. And I don't know what yours looks like. I have, when you have done it for more than 1 year, you're going to end up with some different, again, they let you archive classes. So I pulled up that year I was talking about, my class. I created a class already for this year because I was playing, but then this is the one for, so if you want to create your class right now, you can. You're adding students down here. And I didn't connect with families through this, so I know there are bigger experts on that option than I am. This is like your main, these are your choices. Your journal, which is a stream, again, of work. And the thing I really like about Google Classroom is that they can talk to you, you can talk back, you can make comments, you can just like it. There's all these different things you can do with their work. These are just things that the kids, these are just messages the kids sent me. Sometimes they were questions. And then they would send me pictures of their work. It was very easy for them to send me printed work, which I really liked. So that's just the stream of information, but then you also have activities. And if you had, these are the activities that I had assigned to my kids. And let's see, I don't think I have anything scheduled. Archived activities, no, they're just all in there. If you want to create a new activity, you just click on that big old green button and you can assign, I think, activity. And then these are my activities. But you can go to the community, type in your grade level, and then there is tons of stuff. And that's where my knowledge ends. So, questions for people who've used it more. Stephanie, I know you worked with Michelle on this a little bit.
Well, she came over to our house, 2 days ago and gave me a lesson. I hadn't been on here at all, but, I mainly wanted to see, she showed me how you go into the community and, type in your grade level or type in what subject you're looking for. And then as I kind of scrolled through there, if you click on the heart at the top.
Right.
Okay, so if you click on that, it saves it into your library.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then when you're trying to go through, so you can save a whole bunch of things into your library, what things you like best.
Yes.
And then eventually she also showed me how to any documents that I had on my computer, that I could save them onto there too.
Right.
That I don't have to look at my notes.
Well, and then the cool part about the activities is that the students have a lot of options for how they can present their work. And that's the best part about Seesaw is that, let's see, I gotta figure out how to do that. Add, assign an activity. I don't remember how to make my own. Oh, create a new activity. Okay, so let's say I want to just do like a welcome back. Did you guys have a question?
Mitchell, is the app called Seesaw Class?
Maybe. It looks like, yes.
I'm on the App Store trying to find it, and then there's like Seesaw Class.
Can you see that? The light's bad. It says Seesaw Class on it.
Okay.
It looks like this one. But you can't see that very, oops. Oh, that's not going to help you. Sorry.
It has like a bow tie.
Yes, it's this little bow tie.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't make that. I don't know how to make that better. So you can do welcome back, type instructions, I don't know, follow the directions given. This is why I like big kids and not little kids. So you can add voice, and you can, just say, oh, I'm so excited that you're here. You're going to be taking a picture of yourself and putting it on this site.
I really like that feature. I
It's,
practiced that a couple times.
just say, oh, I'm so excited that you're here. Easy. Add multimedia or examples. So this is where you can draw from anything you've created in Drive. You can add a photo. You can add your own drawing. Half the time I just throw out a video so that I don't have to put a lot of effort into it. You don't have to type anything. So you they give you a little warning. Hi. Work hard. Do I like it? Yes. I forgot to click done. Sorry. Hi again. Work harder. Okay. So now I'm done. So you click that. Everything's got like a big green button on it, which is kind of nice. So there I am. It's always lovely. I can add text if I want to. I'm so pretty. You can add, I don't know what that is. Oh, change fonts. I mean, you can play around on all of it. There's my big green button. I'm done. I could have given and then it's part of the directions that the kids get. It's just right there. You can add a template for student responses, and this is where the students have those same options. If you want your students to do a drawing, well, this isn't a template. I don't know what to do there. This is where my expertise isn't coming in because, oh, Kaka, sorry. Okay. But so I attached that. So let's say teacher note. I don't know. Okay, so I put I put my directions in, and I'm gonna save it. And so the students can. I want to see if I can see what it looks like. Oh, view activity. Okay. So this is what the students are going to say, and they want to add their response. Big green button. I'll play, I'm Alex today. And so here he can draw in that template. And save it, I don't know. Pencil, whatever, I don't know. At this point, I don't know what I'm doing. But there's Alex's work. Huh?
It looks easy.
It is very easy. You would just have to play. I mean, the easiest thing to do is to go find someone else's assignments. But what I wanted you to see is that the students have the different options to, can I get back to my assignment? assignment, they have the different options to put their work in. They can draw, they can add a picture, they can do a quick video, they can type. There's all those things in one. I started with Flipgrid, which lets the kids do videos, and I like Seesaw better because they could do whatever they wanted to. They could just record their voice. So that's, I think, one of the really appealing pieces to it. I know nothing. So here's, again, this is like your dashboard. So here are my activities if I wanted to go back. My inbox, when I have messages from students. This, I didn't play with the family piece because I already had a messaging piece in place, but I think this is probably supposed to be really helpful for little's parents. I don't know anything about it. And then you've got messages or notifications. This is like when my students would leave me little messages, I would get a notification saying that. And then skills, I didn't use this piece either. So I'm sure, you can play with it. Settings, you can change your color, you can change your class icon. I don't like enable family access. What do you want to do with that? All that information or all those things that you're going to do with your families is in that settings. It's not a toggle this time, it's a toolbar.
Can they talk to each other, or is it just private comments? The students.
I'm going to bet that you can enable either way.
Okay.
Students, manage students, likes and comments, enable them.
Okay.
Or, and that's the one I like the most is comment approval. It's kind of a pain in the butt for you because you have to check, but usually I like to approve them before. Especially after having Aiden, man, that child has some comments.
Stephanie,
that are not-
is this what you used?
I'm sorry?
Is this what you used in kinder last year?
No. No, I used just, I still use Blooms for all of my communication. And then, Michelle had helped me make or she actually made us, kind of like a learning calendar kind of thing. And that's what I sent out to parents. They had a paper copy and they also had an email to them, with the YouTube links, and it was a lot of work. But I don't know, I'd like to do something like that plus this. And I know when Michelle trained me yesterday, 2 days ago, she had that learning calendar that she had uploaded, downloaded, I don't know, into Seesaw, and so parents still had a copy of that because we both kind of found that our parents needed to have something visual like that. It was really hard, and I know my son has a hard time with that too. Lists of activities are just too hard. Like they needed to see, okay, on Monday I'm responsible for this in math and this in reading and this in writing. And so she took that, what we had done last year, and she used it within Seesaw as well. So I want to use Seesaw this year, but I think I also probably will still try and do some sort of learning calendar too.
Oh, definitely. My learning system is not any of this yet.
Yeah, and she did say one thing
So
that she.
basically, this is anything we do in first grade is going to be new to the kids.
Yes. Probably.
Did you say Zoom like this?
Huh?
New.
Well, then we Zoom.
First graders had experience with Zoom
Yes.
and not Google. You tried Google
Some.
Classroom and that didn't work out great.
Some of them did, not all of them.
Yeah.
If we do the Meet week on Google Classrooms, is that gonna count as Zoom hours? Or?
Yes. Yeah. Your Zoom hours it's not Zoom hours, it's face to face.
Right.
Yeah, and it can go either way. I am gonna use both